What's going on, eaters and feeders? I've got a very special announcement, something that some of you who have been following me for a while know that I've had this in the works. I've been waiting for some other things to fall into place, and it is now time, I think, to start getting some momentum. So the gist of it is we are starting a marketing mafia, or rather we're extending the meal prep mafia or the meal plan mafia is now changing into the meal prep mafia, and it's going to be the meal prep mafia marketing team. And the way this is going to work is essentially we're going to have some specialists who are going to have skills in different platforms and marketing mediums, different tactics, and so forth. They're going to be niching down and focusing exclusively on the meal prep business. Now, what does this mean? Well, for you, and at least those of you who are going to be involved in this, you're going to be able to not only get more effective marketing, because they're going to have a lot more iterations in this same field. And I'll talk to you more about the importance of that in a little bit, but also it's going to be much more affordable for you. Well, how do those things work? Well, I've been involved with marketing companies before. My business partner and I had our own marketing company. We've kind of absorbed that and dissolved it and kind of just taken some stuff on in-house. We're not so much focusing on other businesses right now, but when we had our marketing company, what we would do, called it a media company because it wasn't exclusively marketing, but in any case, we would be bouncing around from one industry to another. And while that does make you a very well-rounded marketer for your marketing career, that's great because you have experience working with a Land Rover dealership and then a dentist and then a tile company and then a health spa and a national product, a worldwide product, and then a local product. So you get to cut your teeth in a lot of different scenarios. And that's great for the marketer's resume and the marketer's experience, right? Well, for the client, for the customers, for the businesses that these marketers are servicing, the marketing company, the clients of our marketing company, for instance, honestly, it's not ideal. And while this is the reality of the world, it's just the way things work. Marketing companies tend to have to be working with everybody, from a mechanic to a restaurant to a dentist. You know, you have to bounce around. Well, if you were able to have a marketer who has worked with someone who's been in your niche before, they already have experience as far as what works, what doesn't work, what's failed, what they've wasted time and money on, where they've seen some things really take off and grab a hold. So they're able to, day one, bring that experience into what you're doing or what they're doing with you. Sounds like it makes a lot of sense, right? Like if you were a dentist and you were able to work with a marketer who's like, yeah, I've worked with 3 dentists in the past. I've brought them this amount of money. And I've also found out that this didn't work and these type of targeting campaigns didn't work and this platform is better. Okay, great. Day one, I know you're going to be much more effective than the guy who's never worked with a dentist before. And as a dentist, I'd rather work with a guy who's worked with a dentist before. Even if you failed, maybe you failed on Pinterest and you learned we're definitely not going to spend any of your dental marketing budget on Pinterest. Well, for the meal prep industry, given that most of you guys are going to be locally focused, I should say, that's going to be a different set of skill sets as opposed to someone who's dealt with a nationwide product or a statewide product or a worldwide product. You know, the marketing features and the geographic filters are all going to be a bit different in the tactics that are going to be implemented. Someone who's already got experience doing that, all they have to do is, you know, switch from, you know, someone who's been focusing down here in South Florida in this given radius, this given physical radius that we have around Fit Food Fresh, them taking those same tactics that worked as well as knowing what didn't work and applying that to Albuquerque or Austin or Buffalo or Washington State. I think you get the point. They're going to have quicker success and, most importantly, avoid a lot of the failures that they've already learned from. So some of the things that I want to figure out as we start getting this going are who you guys are, where you guys are at in your businesses. I know a lot of people who are already in the meal plan mafia are going to be interested in this. A lot of my existing clients are going to be interested in this. So I don't know if this is going to have to be a first come, first serve basis. I don't know how scalable this is. I'm going to have to see. It really comes down to what everybody's interested in doing. So for instance, like a marketing campaign, or I'm sorry, an email campaign, email marketing campaign. A lot of the copy, the stuff that's written, the sales prompts, the call to actions and all that stuff, a lot of the copy that is going to work with a meal prep company in South Florida, as far as a 10 sequence email campaign for new leads or for retention or for holiday promotions or whatever, that stuff is going to be very applicable to someone in Chicago. Now, obviously, there are going to be some subtle differences, like a Thanksgiving campaign in Florida probably isn't going to really relate to anybody in Ontario, because I don't believe they celebrate Thanksgiving up there. But correct me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming Canadians don't. But in any case, I think you guys get the point. For the most of it, and for the 95%, maybe 99% of our businesses are going to be very similar in how we approach our customers, how we try to retain our customers, how we try to get them back onto the program, how we try to get them to do certain promotions, and and how we incentivize them, and all these other things. They're going to be very similar. So if we're able to create an email campaign, let's go back to that, something very simple and applicable. If I can create an email campaign that helps convert your new leads and gets them on the phone within 3 emails instead of 5 emails, you're going to benefit from that, right? 6 months down the road, as we're constantly refining that, and we're able to try that email campaign, not with just your customers, but also with customers from a dozen other or several dozen other meal prep companies, we're able to see, okay, when we tweaked this headline, we were able to get, when we were able to tweak this subject line, we were able to get a higher open rate. When we went with graphics at the middle of the email instead of at the top of the email, it looks like people went through the email a bit longer. They saw it as more genuine. When we went with this type of approach instead of that type of approach, we were able to get more people to do what we want. Now, as we learn that 6 months later, that packet of emails is only going to be better. So in theory, this is going to be something that only constantly evolves and only constantly gets better and better and better. So we're going to be able to fine tune, and it's essentially going to be, my goal, so that you can see what's going on in my head, I want it to feel like, and I want you to have the effects of having your own full marketing team for a fraction of the cost. I want it to feel like you've got a marketing team that is sitting in your office 100% focused on your business and whatever platforms and mediums you want to market through. And I want you to feel like you're getting those same results, but without having to hire a team of 5, 6, 7, 10 marketers who have their own specialties to sit there and take up your salary, take up your desk space, take up your bandwidth of management and all that other stuff. So this is going to be a way for us to kind of group buy into this campaign management and strategy. And I'm not sure how in depth it's going to go, how involved the business owners are going to have to be. I think there are going to be a few different tiers depending upon, obviously your expense and what you're able to afford. The company that's 5 times as big as you is going to be able to afford more. They're probably going to be able to focus on more platforms at one time, but that's not bad. We're going to start with where it makes sense for you. If you only have the budget for something simple like an email campaign, and you're not ready to start risking money with Google and Facebook, I shouldn't say risking money, but I mean, everything's a risk. Investing money. You shouldn't feel like you're not able to play in the game just because you can't afford the same budget as everybody else. I want to get you in where it makes sense for you. And then 3 months down the road, that should be a more effective campaign and lead to more effective results for your business, allow you to have more money to throw into marketing. And then you get on to Facebook, or then you get on to Google, or then maybe after you're on Google and Facebook, you start experimenting with Pinterest or mail drops or, billboards. I don't know where this is going to go. probably not billboards anytime soon. But I want you to understand that I'm trying to make this depending upon where all the interests are initially and where this group of interested individuals has the ability to play and what they want to play with. We're going to try to make it so that it's either in packages or something that allows you to scale in so that it fits where you're at right now, but then also grows with you to where you want to be. And by that time, there's only going to be more iterations. It's only going to be higher value and more efficacy for your dollars to be spent into it. And it'll allow us to stay in tune with the trends and the changes. As I've mentioned in other marketing videos and other things, the platforms change. TikTok came on and that soaked up some of the marketing eyeballs or some of the consumer eyeballs in the marketing budget from some of the other platforms. Does it make sense for the meal prep clients? I don't think so much right now because of the age, but eventually that will be a platform that's going to make sense to learn. And it's hard as a business owner to be watching the kitchen, designing new menu items, making sure customer service is flawless, making sure the deliveries are going out, running everything else, and then also not only managing the marketing, but then having to stay on top of the new marketing, because what worked yesterday isn't necessarily going to work tomorrow. And I explained that. I discussed that more in a recent video about why big companies fail. And a lot of them fail because they started using a Facebook campaign that worked at a certain size, but it wasn't scalable, and throwing more money at it didn't bring in more leads, and they failed to educate themselves on other platforms and other trends. Not to say they should have pulled off of Facebook, but with the law of diminishing returns, there's only so much you're going to get out of any one of these sources. So if you have a specialty in Facebook and that's all you know, eventually you're going to wring that sucker dry. You're not going to be able to get any more blood out of that turnip. And it's going to lead to you throwing marketing money out and basically burning it. Might as well burn it. It'd look a lot prettier than just spending it. Or you end up getting discouraged with marketing and not knowing where to spend and start throwing money blindly at platforms that you're not as well versed in. So in any case, we're hoping to avoid all of that. There's a form, very simple form that is, depending on where you're watching this video, it's going to be somewhere. Look for the link to the form, fill out the form. That'll let me know that you're interested. It asks some very basic questions as far as giving me, it's just to give me an idea of who you are, where you're at, what you're doing right now. If anything, there's no shame in you not doing anything. Look at it as extreme upward potential if you're not doing anything yet. But let me know what you're doing, even if it's just basic emails that you're only remembering to send out once every other week. Let me know. There's a section in there to let me know exactly what you're doing. And the whole idea is to figure out where you are, where you want to go, what makes the most amount of sense based on where you're at and what you can commit to. And we'll figure out a plan that works for the most amount of people initially. And then, like I said, we're going to come up with maybe some tiers and some different packages as the group goes. Depending on when you're watching this stuff might already be available. We're coming up on Thanksgiving 2020 tomorrow. So this is something that I definitely want to get going and start getting some people ready for the beginning of the year, because as we know, that's when a lot of stuff is going to start moving. A lot of eyeballs start going back to the meal prep business, the industry, with all of the New Year's resolutions and yada, yada, yada. So we also have some potential lockdowns coming. So a lot more people are going to probably be looking into the meal prep business. So if you're watching this and you haven't started yet, you want some help getting some momentum on top of reaching out to your personal network, I always suggest you save your marketing money, you reach out to your personal network, see how many commitments you can get from friends, family, and coworkers. But if you've exhausted that, or if you want to work in parallel with that just to really expedite your growth, we'd be happy to have you. We'll find some kind of fit for you that makes the most amount of sense. This will not be free, but I assure you, it is going to be a fraction of what it's going to cost hiring a regular marketing company. Normal marketing companies, the ones I've worked with, I think the smallest retainer I've ever seen, it's normally 3-month increments, and the smallest retainer I saw was $2,500 a month, and that was for one girl who helped us with Pretty much interest. I don't think she did anything with Facebook aside from pushing our interest posts there. She took pretty pictures of our food at the beach on picnic tables and stuff like that with her cell phone. And that was $2,500 a month. She knew how to do it better than us. She had the time to focus on it. So it was definitely worth us spending that money. But I know we didn't have that type of money when we were just starting off. If someone were to tell us it's $2,500 a month for me to take pictures with my phone and post them on Instagram for you, I would have kicked you out of my office. But it is more competitive. But then the other painful process is when you start spending money with people, a lot of times you don't know how good they are. You don't know what kind of results they can render. So it's a vetting process that unfortunately requires your spend of not only time, but obviously money, just to find out whether or not they're as good as they say, or they're even right. They might be really talented with marketing for a restaurant or marketing for a dental industry, but when it comes down to marketing for a meal prep industry, are they really going to be the best? The idea with this is to get as many iterations as possible. Imagine the experience that we're going to have working with, the same people, the same marketers with the same specialties, but being applied, tried, and tested with dozens of meal prep companies all over the country. I've got people all over the globe. So Australia, New Zealand, India, several people in Canada, several people in the UK, the Middle East. So basically everybody. I think I've got followers on every continent, but Antarctica so far. So we're going to be, learning a lot, hopefully as fast as possible. And like I said, the good news is a lot of this stuff is already understood and can be implemented right away. So it's not like we're starting from not knowing anything. I have experience doing it myself, but I want to get people who are even smarter than me to work with us. As I said before, I don't know how much involvement is going to be needed from business owners. You guys won't necessarily have to be involved with the decisions that we're making. I will keep you abreast to, depending on what level you're at as far as the services and what you're getting into. You'll be abreast to what's going on, obviously. But for the most part, and this is what you guys should be most excited about, is this should be a hands-off, plug and play, just let them rip and see the results kind of thing. You'll have access to any kind of, obvious reporting features and everything else that are specific to your business. But the most important thing is, like I said, we're going to have all these different nerves that are going to be able to spread out through all these different businesses and feed us information back as far as what's working, what doesn't work, where there's, some traction being made, what words, what copy, what pictures, what formats, what style of shooting. Obviously, I'm not going to focus on localized content generation. What I mean by that is I'm not going to look for photographers. I'm not going to look for videographers that are going to be local to you guys. That's not something that I care to get into. That will be on you. But if you're able to supply the team with that type of content, the pictures of your food, whether it's with your cell phone or with, a professional photographer, and we'll also be able to give you tips. Like I know some tips as far as shooting with food. I'm not a photographer by any means, but I know some lighting tips with shooting with food, some plating, and other types of tricks for shooting video, and all sorts of stuff that we will give you that access. So if you can't hire a videographer or a photographer or one of those specialists locally, we'll help you make it as good as possible. But the creatives are only part of it. Getting it in front of the right people, targeting the right people, having the right copy, the right promotions, all that other stuff is a big, big factor. A pretty video, a pretty picture isn't going to sell meals alone. And having something that's not on a super, super professional, well done Steven Spielberg level isn't going to keep you from making a very effective marketing campaign, copy, ads, whatever else. So check that stuff out, fill out the form below. And I look forward to getting this rocking and rolling. And if you're watching this in 2021, hopefully it's ripping and roaring already. And we'd be happy to have you aboard, but I'm especially excited to get this going for the genesis of 2021, because I think it's going to be an amazing opportunity. Eventually, as I mentioned before, I don't know when this is going to become a first come, first serve or a cutoff. What I'm thinking is if we get too many people on, depending on the onboarding process and some other things, we will figure out a way to prioritize. I think at most you'd have to wait 3 months. Like I said before, it's normally a 3-month increment for marketing stuff like this. So at most you'd wait 3 months to get into the new group. And I think eventually the cutoff will be, or one of the pre-qualifiers will be needing to be on the meal prep software that we offer. Right now, I'll open this to everybody because I know there's a lot of people on the group who haven't had a chance to get on the software yet. And a lot of people aren't rock and rolling with their own software. So this is something that's great if you're just starting off, or if you haven't started yet. This is a great opportunity because it's basically open to everybody, as long as you're, able to move forward, take some action, commit to the group. And like I said, it won't even take a lot of your time. It'll just be, if we need pictures or whatever else, depending on what services you're interested in, what platforms you want to be, marketing through, and whatnot. I will probably require some stuff, like you might have to get on MailChimp if you don't have an email provider. We'll get into that more later, but most importantly, fill out the form. As I was getting to, if it does start getting to the point where we have to limit entry, I will let you guys know and keep you updated. But the sooner, the better. And we will definitely get you taken care of in some form or fashion. And if there's stuff that you don't have set up yet, don't feel stressed out. It's okay. If you can't afford X budget, it's okay. We'll figure something out. It won't be free because, obviously this is going to be, Google and Facebook, they all charge money, but, getting on MailChimp isn't hard, shouldn't be intimidating. If you don't have, your social media account set up yet, don't worry. It's not hard. Don't be intimidated. There are resources that we can provide and that are out there on YouTube that'll help you get your Instagram going, get your Facebook going. And then eventually down the road, hopefully a year from now, you've got your chatbot ripping and rolling. You've got automated email campaigns and sales funnels and pay-per-click ads and targeting ads and retargeting ads and all this stuff that is probably not even a dream of yours right now, probably not even familiar with a lot of those terms for a lot of you. So don't worry. All of this stuff is doable. We're going to make it easier. That's my goal, to make it easier, more effective, and more economical for you guys. So looking forward to it. Jump into that form. Like I said, the link is somewhere around here, and see you on the other side.